What if the foods we feed our children are quietly exposing them to a complex cocktail of additives, potentially putting their health at risk? A groundbreaking national study has mapped the alarming prevalence of food additives in both children's and adults' diets, revealing a hidden world of chemical mixtures that most of us never even consider. But here's where it gets controversial. These additives rarely come alone, and children are bearing the brunt of this exposure, largely due to the rise of ultra-processed foods. This isn't just about the occasional treat, it's about everyday staples like prepackaged bread and yogurt, which often fly under the radar. Published in scientific reports, the study dives deep into the diets of French children and adults, shedding light on a global issue. Food additives, those invisible enhancers of taste, texture, and shelf life, are everywhere in modern diets. In France alone, over 50% of food products contain them. But what happens when these additives mix? Emerging research suggests that chronic exposure to certain combinations may have adverse health effects, particularly for children. And this is the part most people miss. Current safety assessments often overlook the cumulative impact of these mixtures, focusing instead on individual additives. Why? Largely because real-world exposure data is scarce, and regulatory thresholds are based on single additive studies. The study, part of the Esteban project, analyzed the diets of 2,177 adults and 1,279 children aged 6 to 17, using detailed dietary recalls and food composition databases. Researchers identified 125 additives in adult diets and 122 in children's, with daily intake averaging 4.4 grams for adults and 5.1 grams for children. That's nearly twice as much per body weight for kids. Ultra-processed foods, UPFs, were the main culprits, contributing 34.2% of adults' daily energy intake and a staggering 49.3% for children. Here's the kicker: 71 additives were consumed by more than 5% of children, compared to 60 for adults. Rosemary extract and sucralose exceeded acceptable daily intake levels in some cases, raising red flags. Researchers identified 3 additive mixtures for adults and 4 for children, each linked to specific food categories and lifestyle factors. For instance, adults exposed to one mixture, packed with acidity regulators, colors, and emulsifiers, were more likely to be younger, male, and highly educated. In children, certain mixtures were tied to age, gender, and even parental occupation. But what does this mean for public health? The study found that higher additive intake was associated with less healthy diets. Think more saturated fats and added sugars, and fewer proteins and vitamins. While some additives appear in less processed foods, most are markers of UPFs. Interestingly, additive exposure increased with age in children but decreased in adults, suggesting teenagers and young adults are at highest risk. And with emerging evidence linking additive mixtures to conditions like type 2 diabetes, this isn't just a theoretical concern. So, here's the question: are we underestimating the health risks of food additives, especially when they come in mixtures? As dietary patterns evolve, should regulatory bodies rethink how they assess additive safety? Let's spark a conversation. Do you think the current approach is enough, or is it time for a radical shift in how we regulate what goes into our food? Share your thoughts below.